My fiancé lied about his past, and it changed everything. My fiancé lied about his past, and it changed everything. When my fiancé lied about his past, I didn't find out all at once. The truth didn't explode. It leaked, slowly, quietly, in a way that made me question my own instincts before I ever questioned him. We had been together for 3 years when he proposed. I said yes without hesitation. He was kind, steady, dependable, the kind of man people described as safe. And I believed that was enough. He told me his past was simple. One serious relationship, a clean break, no baggage. I never pushed for details. I didn't want to sound insecure. I trusted him. That trust made me careless. The first crack appeared during a family dinner. My cousin casually asked, "So how long were you married before?" The room went silent. "Married?" I asked, turning to him. He laughed too quickly. "She's confused. I was never married. Everyone moved on, but I didn't." Later that night, I asked him about it. "She misunderstood," he said. "I lived with someone years ago. People exaggerate." I wanted to believe him, so I did. But after that, things felt off. Little details stopped lining up. Stories changed slightly. Dates didn't match. Whenever I asked questions, he'd say the same thing. "Why are you digging into things that don't matter anymore?" I told myself the past was the past, until it followed us into the present. A month later, a message popped up on his phone while he was in the shower. I wasn't snooping. The screen lit up on the nightstand. The name meant nothing to me. But the message did. "Have you told her yet?" My heart dropped. When he came back into the room, I was sitting on the bed, phone in my hand. "Tell me what?" I asked. His face went pale. That was the moment. I realized something important. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a secret. And whatever it was, he never planned to tell me. He sat down slowly, like his body had already accepted what his mind was still resisting. "That message doesn't mean what you think," he said. I didn't respond. I had learned that silence makes people reveal more than arguments ever could. He ran a hand through his hair and sighed. "There are just things in my past I didn't want to bring into our relationship," he said. "I wanted a clean start with you." A clean start. That phrase sounded rehearsed. "A clean start doesn't come from lies," I replied. He nodded, eyes fixed on the floor. "I was married," he admitted briefly. The word briefly didn't soften the blow. "When?" I asked. 7 years ago." I felt dizzy. "You told me you'd never been married." "I didn't think it mattered anymore," he said quickly. "It was over before it began." I asked him why he hid it. He said the divorce was ugly, that he was young, that he didn't want to be judged. Then he said the sentence that changed everything. "I didn't want you to see me differently." "But I already did." I asked if that was everything. He hesitated. Just for a second. But that second told me the truth. "There's more," I said. He swallowed. "My ex-wife has a child." My chest tightened. "Your child?" I asked. He shook his head too fast. "No, I mean, I don't think so." That uncertainty hit harder than a yes would have. "You don't think so?" I repeated. "She was pregnant when we split," he said quietly. "She said it wasn't mine." "And you believed her?" I asked. "I wanted to," he replied. That was the problem. He wanted to believe things instead of knowing them, instead of facing them, instead of being honest with me. "And the message?" I asked. He closed his eyes. "That was her," he said. "She's been trying to contact me." I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, clarity. This wasn't just about the past. It was about who he was when things got difficult. And suddenly, I wasn't sure I knew the man I was about to marry. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was angry, but because my mind wouldn't stop replaying. Every conversation we'd ever had. Every time I'd asked about his past. Every time he'd reassured me. Every time he'd chosen omission over honesty. By morning, I realized something painful. The lie wasn't just about his ex-wife. It was about control. He had decided what I was allowed to know. When he came into the kitchen, I asked him one simple question. "If she calls you tomorrow and says the child is yours, what happens?" He didn't answer right away. That silence told me more than words ever could. "I don't know," he admitted. "I guess I'd deal with it then. Deal with it then. Like it wouldn't affect me. Like it wouldn't affect our marriage. like I was just a side character in my own future. I asked him why he never took a DNA test. He said he was afraid of responsibility, afraid of disruption, afraid of the truth, and suddenly I saw the pattern. He avoided truths that required courage. That realization scared me more than his past ever could. Later that day, I reached out to someone I probably shouldn't have. His ex-wife. I didn't accuse, I didn't confront. I simply asked one question. Did he know the truth? Her reply came an hour later. He always suspected, she wrote. He just didn't want to confirm it. My hands shook as I read it, because that meant something devastating. He didn't lie because he didn't know. He lied because knowing would have changed his life. And he chose comfort over honesty. That night, I told him what I'd done. He was furious. How could you go behind my back, he asked. I looked at him calmly. How could you build a future on half-truths? I replied, that's when I realized this wasn't about forgiveness. It was about trust. And trust had already cracked beyond repair. The house felt different after that conversation. Not tense, empty. He tried to fix things the way people do when they're afraid of losing control. Flowers, apologies, promises. To handle everything. But handling the truth isn't the same as telling it. I asked him to be fully honest. No more edits, no more protecting himself. That's when everything finally came out. He admitted the marriage hadn't just been brief. It lasted 3 years. He admitted the divorce involved restraining orders and court dates he conveniently forgot to mention. And finally, he admitted something he'd never said out loud. There's a strong chance the child is mine. I felt numb. Not because he had a child, but because he had chosen silence every single day after knowing that possibility existed. I didn't want to lose you, he said. But you did, I replied. The moment you decided I couldn't handle the truth. He begged for time. Said he'd take a DNA test. Said he'd be transparent now. But honesty offered only when discovered isn't honesty. It's damage control. I asked him a question he couldn't escape. If I hadn't seen that message, would you ever have told me? He couldn't answer. That was my answer. That night, I took off my engagement ring and placed it on the table between us. He stared at it like he didn't recognize it. You're ending this, he asked. I'm ending the lie, I said. The relationship ended the moment you built it on deception. He cried, but I didn't, because I finally understood something important. I wasn't leaving because of his past. I was leaving because of how he handled it. And the hardest part was still ahead. Walking away felt strange. Not dramatic, not explosive, just quiet. I packed my things slowly, deliberately, like I was reclaiming pieces of myself I had set aside to fit into a life that wasn't honest. He watched me from the doorway, saying nothing. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked unsure of what to do next. I never meant to hurt you, he said finally. I know, I replied, but intent doesn't erase impact. He asked if there was any way to fix this. I answered truthfully. You didn't just lie about your past, I said. You lied about who you are when things get hard. That was something I couldn't unsee. In the weeks that followed, the clarity surprised me. I didn't miss him the way I thought I would. I missed the version of him I believed existed. But that version was built on omissions, half-truths, and fear. I later learned he did take the DNA test. The child was his. He reached out once more to tell me, maybe for honesty, maybe for absolution. I wished him well, and I meant it, because holding on to anger would have meant carrying his choices with me longer than necessary. I learned something through all of this. The past doesn't destroy relationships. Lies do. Everyone has a history. But love requires truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it risks everything. I didn't lose a fiancé. I gained my self-respect. And if that truth ended everything, then it deserved to.